Traveling solo, I think, is one of the most beautiful ways to experience South Africa, because you can revisit destinations and keep discovering new and new things every time. We have such a rich history. We have such beautiful Airbnbs and hotels, affordable deals and specials that go on that you can book now. Okay, stop procrastinating, stop putting it off because you don't have the right crowd. I've traveled quite a bit within the country, 50% of it because of my work, 50% of it because I actually go out and plan intentionally by myself, right? So I'm here to share some of my tips, and I hope this is going to encourage you to take the plunge and finally go go alone next year. Okay, let's get into the first one. When you book the accommodation and you've actually paid, then you know that you've made a commitment. Then you know that there's no turning back. I think this is one of my tricks that I use on myself. The last trip I went to Mpumalanga, after submitting my PhD, I just went on my phone, looked at my wish list, because I look at Airbnbs, I look at hotels, and if I see something on Instagram, I'll save it for later, etc. So I just went on my wish list, chose a place, it was, affordable, and I booked it. And then I paid immediately, because if you don't pay immediately, you're going to, put it off, and eventually you don't have any money anymore and you can't go. So that's the first thing that I'd say you must do. Do not attempt to recruit anyone, a friend, a family member. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Decide that you're going alone and just do it. A solocation kind of trip where you are going mainly because of the surrounds of the Airbnb or the hotel that you've chosen. You are going because that particular accommodation is beautiful and you don't need to do anything else, I think is one of the first steps that you can take if you're afraid of traveling and then having to do everything that's offered in that province. Some of these Airbnbs, are connected to a particular hiking trail. You can go for that. You can do these low effort, minimum amount of planning needed, and your host can actually give you the connection, and you can just do that for yourself. But the main point would have been to actually enjoy that particular Airbnb or the surrounds, learn about the history of that town or whatever the case is. So there are apps that you can go on that will show you what's available in that area. Google obviously will have, if you Google things to do in a particular town, a particular province, a particular place, if you go on TripAdvisor, you can find suggestions for things, and even travel guides and operators that are actually selling particular experiences that you can go on. You can go on another app that's just recent, I think. I just discovered it, called Get Your Guide. You can go and get your guide and see what happens there and what experiences people are offering, and you can literally book. And that brings me to my second tip. So my second tip is to make your bookings in advance, right? Once you've decided on the accommodation, go on the apps that I've just mentioned, see what people are saying about the experiences, see if you can book that particular experience or that particular attraction directly on the website. That's usually what happens. So for instance, in Mpumalanga, in Limpopo, they'll have like Kruger National Park tour experiences. These are group trips usually, and they don't necessarily open it up if you're just the one person that's booking on the app. So maybe if there's already 3 people that are booked, then you can also be the 4th, things like that. But you can also just go yourself, right? So you can literally go onto the Kruger National Park website, or Malith Park website, or whichever other nature reserve that you want to visit, and see what the prices are and if you can book and pay there, or if you can book and pay at the gate. So do that, because then you can have a bit of an idea, an itinerary, right, of what you're going to do. Once you've done the booking, you can add it to your calendar, and just like that, you have an itinerary. Like I said, don't overwhelm yourself with too many activities. The point, I think, most of all, is to experience, you know, the quiet, all right, solo travel, and experience the quiet, and take some time to yourself, take some time to rest, etc. I found that one of the greatest things that you can do is go on a little historical quest, right? Many of these destinations have such important history connected to South Africa. We've been through all of it, right? So you can visit maybe a museum, a monument, and you can literally, you know, learn of the history in that way. Or you can learn of the beautiful landscapes and their formations, the fauna, the flora that we have through a hike, right? And through maybe visiting a nature reserve. And like we said, things like the Kruger National Park. There's so many elephant experiences that you can get. There's so many reptile sanctuary parks. There's so much that you can do that is just low effort and low cost that you can. So book those things in advance so that you know exactly what you're going to do. And the third tip that I have for you has to do with the reviews, right? So on these apps, on booking.com, on Airbnb experiences, Airbnb stay, on TripAdvisor, Get Your Guide, people will put down their reviews of the accommodation or the experiences that they had. And I would highly encourage you to read through those, because that will tell you, right, if that experience is worth it. It'll tell you what the customer, you know, service and experiences are there. It'll tell you what the safety precautions are that you should take. It'll tell you exactly what you need to know before you actually go there. So make sure that you read the reviews. And speaking of safety issues, that's my next tip. You need to take your safety measures or precautions, right? And being South African, I think we all know that our country is quite notorious for being not that safe of a country, right? Not just for tourists, but in general. And we know that this is linked to our unemployment rate. We know that this is linked to so many of the social ills and our history, etc. But I think our tourism space is a safe space in general, right? If I could think about the many places that I've traveled to, some alone, some with groups, I haven't necessarily come across any, criminal activity. And that's just because the space itself, right, is created in such a way that tourists come here and they do feel safe. However, like any other destination and like any other country that you're going to visit, you need to have your wits about you. So that means stay alert, stay vigilant, take the necessary safety precautions, right? So number one, for me, I would say make sure that you inform your friends and family of where you're going. Share your location. If you find yourself in a dingy or dodgy place, share that live location or share the location. Never go to maybe an experience, or you're going to be driving out for the whole day not having battery on your phone, for instance, right? Take a power bank as backup, so that if it happens that you die, your phone dies, then you have at least backup power or battery. Make sure that if you're driving, the vehicle always has fuel, right? The vehicle has all of the necessary, an extra tire and all the equipment that you need to change a tire, basic things like that. Because unfortunately, you do find that, there's dirt roads, maybe going to the B&B or from a dirt road through the nature reserve and things like that. So if you are driving and you're not maybe, driving a 4x4 and the like, right? You driving through the place with a sedan and your tire bursts, you know exactly what you've got in the car and you can do that. Ladies, I know this is also difficult for us, but practice changing a tire. Okay, practice changing a tire. That might go in handy, but also you may not need to, because you know, most of the time, if you have insurance, you can just call your insurance and they can send someone to you quickly. But you have to have a phone, you have to have power and data or airtime on your phone to call, right, for these services. So that's very important, and the insurance companies are very responsive and etc. Now with the accommodation, I'd say that the best thing that you can do for yourself is book in a place where there'll be other guests, right? If you like a private room, if you like your privacy, that's more than great. Those are very affordable in South Africa. I've never had to do a backpacking experience because the rooms are generally affordable, right, in these Airbnbs and in, you know, hotels and stuff. So try to book where there will be other guests, right, in the neighboring rooms. If it's low season, book a place where the host actually lives there too, right? So that you know that you have someone to call, or they have actual security guards and security measures in place for you. Never just go in a place where you'll just literally be alone, right, in the place, and there's no neighbors, there's no host, there's no security guards. That one I would not recommend at all. Keep the activities very early in the day. Okay, don't make the mistake. I've learned the hard way. For instance, with hiking trails, I'll just decide, you know, to go at like 3 p.m. To a hike, and then the one time I actually got lost in Hogsback and it was dark, and yeah, I didn't know where the hell I was going. Luckily I had reception and I could call the people from there to say, hey, I'm lost, what's going on? And this wonderful lady stayed with me on the phone until I found my way out of the trail. But it was the scariest experience of my life, and I found out actually the next day that, well, I found out from the lady at the front that actually this is the time when the baboons are actually coming back. And I was just like, imagine if a baboon had just, you know, seen me, and what could have happened. So things like that, right? So if you book early on in the day, if you have your activities in the morning or very early afternoon, and you know that that activity is going to take maybe just an hour, and then you have enough time to drive back home, so that you have time to get lost. If you have to get lost, you have time to wander, because that's one of the most beautiful you know, benefits of traveling solo, that you do get to wander. So if you wander and you end up getting carried away, sitting somewhere and, you know, listening and being with yourself, then you know that there's time, right? You still have the daylight to actually get back home safely. And when you do go out, make sure that your valuables in the hotel or in the accommodation are actually safe. I'd say in an Airbnb situation where the host is present and you lock up and nothing really happens. I haven't experienced anything. If you have, you can comment down below, but it's generally safe, right? Again, I say it, read the reviews. If people are saying they've lost things, if people are saying they didn't feel safe, then that's another thing. But our Airbnbs hardly have like a safe for you to use. And if that's the case, it's probably safe, right? But I mean, if you have a car, you can keep your things in the car, in the boot, you know, and travel with them. Make sure that you lock the car. But if there is a safe, use that safe, right? It's there for a reason. Use the safe and make sure that your valuables are locked up. Don't take things that you don't need, right? Many of us travel, and you travel alone, and then you want to take your laptop with you because you think that you're going to work. Chances are that you're not going to work. Chances are that you're going to want to chill out. You're going to want to read a book. You're going to want to Netflix and things like that. So just leave the laptop at home. Unless you are traveling for work, right? But leave the laptop at home. It's gonna make your life easier, and it's gonna give you some peace of mind. And then talking about laptops and technology, cell phones are great, but if you are out in public, keep it tucked away somewhere. Do not walk around in a crowded area with people around looking at you and you are busy on your cell phone. The worst thing added to that is if you're going to put on headphones, you need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to know what's going on. You need to walk as if you know where you're going. I think that's the most important thing. Don't stick out like a sore thumb. Don't dress like you're going to I don't know, a dinner party with heels and a dress when you are just walking down the street to the nearest, convenience store. Don't do that, right? Try to dress appropriately for the time and the space. Be modest. Don't go there to wanna stick out and show off and be, look extravagant more than other people. That is going to bring unnecessary attention to you, and yeah, you don't want that. And then speaking of safety, this brings me to my next tip, which is to trust your gut. Okay? If something feels off, it probably is. And that would be your cue to get out of that situation as soon as possible. So I haven't really experienced something like that, but anything can happen. When you travel solo, you end up meeting people, you end up chatting with people, and they can, it can go on, and you can be enjoying yourself and telling yourself that you're having a good time. But if you're not mindful of the time, if you're not mindful of the fact that maybe you have to drive back home and things like that, it can get a bit sketchy for you. So just enjoy yourself, but also listen to your body. Listen to what feels good. If something starts feeling suspicious or too good to be true, or random, just get out of it as soon as possible. But sometimes something can feel off to you because it's something that you are not open to, and it's something that you are scared to do because you're traveling solo. Now, this is where you need to, once you followed all of these safety measures, be able to actually relax, be able to actually be open to new experiences, be open to meeting new people. And that brings me to my next tip. Make friends, greet people, chat with people, ask them questions, right? Don't reveal too much about yourself in terms of, no, I'm traveling alone. No, I don't know where I'm going. No, I don't know where I'm coming from. That is going to be a problem, right? The best thing you can do is say, no, my friend and I were supposed to meet up, but she got carried away somewhere. I'm visiting her from another province and she stays here, right? Make up a lie. That way people know that, okay, even though that you are alone here and now, but there are actual people that they know where you are, they know where you're going, right? They know where you stay, so that if anything happens, then, say things like that. Or while you are hanging out with people, oh guys, sorry, this is my mom. Let me just, chat to her about what's going on. And then things like that, just to make people aware that there are people in your life and they know where you are and they will be expecting you to come back. If they say to you, oh, let's go to this and this location next, and you are uncomfortable with that, don't listen. You do not owe anyone a good time, okay? If you feel that you're uncomfortable with going to another place with those people, that has happened to me actually quite recently, and I was enjoying myself. We were having drinks and stuff, but I just, and it wasn't the kind of experience that I wanted to have in that particular trip. And I made my no very explicit, okay? I took their numbers and said, if I'm, feeling up to it tomorrow, I'll call you guys and we can do something in the day. So do not think just because maybe they've gotten a round of drinks or they've done this and that now you owe them a good time. Don't do that. Protect yourself, but also enjoy yourself. Enjoy yourself, wander around, discover, eat new food. things that you're not used to doing, do them. This is the time for you to do them, because when you go on group trips, when you go on these family vacations, you usually have to do things that everyone else wants to do at this particular time, right? So if you are alone, you have the advantage of actually just experiencing whatever it is that you want to experience. If you change your mind about going to a place, you can literally just take your phone and cancel that experience, and hopefully they are able to give you a refund. So this is the time, okay, to do that. But also embrace the silence, right? The walks, the sitting outside over a beautiful cup of coffee or a nice glass of wine at the end of the day and a book, sitting by the pool and just reading a nice book. Embrace the quiet. Do a bit of meditation. Go out and sit at a corner somewhere and journal, right? This is the time to actually look within and actually, revisit some of your dreams, revisit these habits that you want to cultivate, which are, mostly taken away from us because of our day-to-day lives. And so now when you are alone and traveling, you have the opportunity to do them. So embrace the silence. And finally, my last tip is to rest. Okay, rest the hell up if you're traveling solo. Sleep in, watch the one movie, but avoid the social media. Read the book. Like I said, that is going to be one of the best things that you do for yourself. That brings me to the end of my video. If you have any questions or tips that you want to add, please comment down below. Like I said, I've done a few solo trips myself. If you want me to tell you maybe about a certain experience, then do let me know, or you can watch one of my videos. Mpumalanga is the most recent one that I've traveled to solo, so you can watch that and just look at how beautiful that experience was. And I think the center of that experience was the Airbnb that I booked, and very low effort, low maintenance activities that I did in Mpumalanga, in Mbombela itself, and not necessarily like extravagant Kruger National Park things and etc. So yeah, if you're interested in that, you can go watch that video. Otherwise, if you liked this video, please don't forget to subscribe, comment, share with anyone you know, anyone that has been afraid of traveling solo. This is the time, okay? We're gonna do more of this in 2025. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.